Hey team, how are we?
We're good.
Great.
I don't get included in the banter, whatever's going on.
We were just making up about me telling her I hate Zoom on the beginning.
So Tammy could. I'm just going to share. Tammy couldn't make the prep call, so I said to everybody that was on the call, I said, you know what? I want to make sure Tammy's well prepped. Let's record the call. Tim gets on the call late. I said, Tim, I guess as a team zealot, you just couldn't figure out how to make Zoom work. And Tim's like, that's because I hate Zoom. What can I tell you? I then send the recording on to Tammy. I'm like, the two of you can work this out before the panel. It'll be totally fine. We'll see how that works out.
I was giving him a hard time about.
It was a joke.
It's all good. I'm going to start with a little bit of front end here. Let's start with a little background. I know you guys can't see these slides, so I'll try to, but you've had them in advance. Increase in work from home since the pandemic was equal to 30 years of pre-pandemic work from home. I mean, that's kind of obvious, right? We worked in offices, we went home, but when you look at the numbers, wow, it's pretty dramatic, right? At the end of the day, 30 years of growth. All right. But if you focus on the workers, now this chart is focusing on workers, by the way, who actually can work at home. Right? So that previous chart that went from whatever it was, 5% to 60%, back down to 30%. That 30% is including hospital workers, retail workers, people who are working in food services, things of that nature. If you take a look at this chart now, all right, and you assume hybrid work is somewhere up in that, 45% range, fully at home probably somewhere in that 25. Just look at the numbers. So if you can work from home, there's a 70% chance that you're probably at least in a hybrid environment. Now, we'll meet with people, and I'm sure you all do as well, where you get in there and go, what's your hybrid strategy? And they go, no, that's not going to happen to us because we're going back to work. And my next question to them is, okay, well, how many people are going to get to work hybrid? And they go, well, all of them. Like, well, then your stance is hybrid. You kind of got the question wrong, right, at the end of the day. And yet, this was on my news feed on the airplane. I just slid this in yesterday. Bosses say enough, we're going back to work, right? The big time CEOs who've kind of thrown that story in there, right? In fact, West Monroe put out a study that said 68% of respondents just want to know what their employer's plans are. Kind of hard to figure that out when you're the IT person or the tech person, and your plan is, I don't know, something like what we're doing now. All right, and that was one of the reasons why we kind of wanted to get to this panel. Here is a Microsoft study. Despite 80% of employees saying they are just as or more productive since going remote, 54% of leaders fear that productivity has been negatively impacted since the shift. So let's start there. Artie, I'm going to go to you. Who's right?
Go for it.
Who's right? Let's make this simple. Are you red on that? The button pressed in? Yeah, you're good. Who's right? Who's more productive?
So I have a little anecdotal answer
Fire.
to that because so I have 10 kids. For all you people who don't know that, 10 of them, they're all professionals from 26 to 36 years old. They span professions in fintech, high tech, biotech, lawyer. One of them's a neuropsychologist, and I don't even know what that is. So I have firsthand experience about when the pandemic hit, literally, they all moved home. For 3 to 5 months, they all moved home. And we welcomed them. And then after the pandemic, they started to go back to work. But they mimicked that chart. They literally mimicked roughly that chart. And so I think, in the end of the day, the largest percentage of workforce wants hybrid. But what's interesting is the younger crowd, they don't want to be told when to go back to work. They want the option of when to go back to work. And they want to go back to work and then schedule social events with their workmates. And so I think that I agree 100% with the charts that you showed, and certainly stop now and not take over this panel here, but I see it firsthand. Absolutely.
Is it that obvious? Tammy or Tim, jump on that. I mean, is that where we are? Are we in hybrid?
I think we're in hybrid, and one of my favorite quotes is, work isn't a place you go anymore, it's a thing you do. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that folks can do it from anywhere. And even before the pandemic, I used to travel back and forth and travel almost every week. I was working on the road anyway. I had to work from a lot of different places, and I think the tools have just gotten so much better. You name the tool, I've worked with it. I've never worked with anything as technically elegant as Zoom, which is one of the reasons I'm there,
Not
but I
even
think
Teams?
it's there. Oh, I've worked with Teams. You name it, I've done it. Blue Jeans, I'll go to all of it. But I think that the pandemic created an environment where people can be more productive wherever they are. But I think the question is going to become, how are we holding people accountable to that? How are we leveraging the tools and allowing people to take a little bit more control of their lives, which makes a better employee. It allows us to attract better talent. It allows talent to be in different places. I happen to live in Iowa. I wouldn't be able to do this job if it wasn't allowed. So I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the key, right? I mean, if everyone doesn't do it, then no one's going to do it. If everyone doesn't demand that everyone comes back to work, then the people that are able to work wherever are going to work for whoever doesn't require them to go back to work.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to recruit anybody if you're like, you have to come to New York City and climb up this building and, fight the traffic and
I've done
deal
that
with all-
train
yeah,
ride.
Exactly. It's not going to happen. So it's starting. You see the top of the food chain in New York City is the financial companies. So you got Merrill and all the big companies saying we're coming back to work. Maybe they can get some of them back because they have high-paying jobs and they do need to be in front of a machine all day long. But I don't see it happening.
I'm going to just jump back quickly to something Tammy said, because that's a pretty big difference, right? And this is the same study. So Microsoft's saying 80% of people want to go home, but 54% of leaders say that's a productivity problem. We weren't going there, but we expected this conversation to go where it went. You talked about management, and I wonder if that's the difference. Is the delta that we're just not mature? We're mature technically. We know how to use this stuff now. We got there. But maybe we just don't know how to manage people and we don't see them all the time. Do you think that that's maybe where it's going?
I don't think that that's any different than it was before. So I don't know if you guys have ever watched people carry coffee mugs around an office when everybody's in the same space. I just think we're going to have to mature in how we're looking at the work that's done, how we're looking at productivity, how we're thinking about it, because that genie is out of the bottle. I don't think we're ever going back. And so we need to make sure that we've got the tools and the capability, the security, the protection, all the things that allow for that, to allow us to attract that next generation of worker, to make sure that we get the best talent and everybody can be as productive as possible. And some of that might mean back in the office. Just like Artie said, a lot of my team want to be in to socialize. They pick a couple days a week, but we had a competitor that demanded that folks be back 3 days a week, and I am picking up hot talent left and right.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. I threw that recession slide up earlier. Does anybody here have a feeling on whether the kind of ownership of the employment experience might shift back to employers in the recession a little bit? And maybe affect what we can demand from a hybrid work scenario?
I don't think so. I mean, you look at the labor participation rates.
Yeah.
I don't think so. It's
Okay.
not going back. No way. I mean, again, people. I enjoy my life now. I can do whatever I want. I used to do it, but anyway, and I always manage my people. Don't worry about coming into work. If you got to do something with your kid, do it. But when I need you, make sure you answer the phone.
Yeah.
So I was always thinking that way anyway.
Yeah.
But I think now that it's full bore, everyone's just like,
Artie, you
I
had
can't.
Yeah,
just
I was
cannot
just going to
take
say, I think that, this slide says a lot about your job. So the benefit of working from home from the grassroots, from the employee's point of view, I think is self-evident. We all up here agree. But to assuage the IT people who are your customers, you're selling to those IT people, not to the end user. And those IT people are fearful. They want better ways to monitor productivity. They want better ways to secure those users. They want a more dynamic and distributable and fluid IT infrastructure. And so you guys out there have to assuage that 54%. That's really what your target is. It's not about the 80% that want to. You're gonna adjust your sale to the end user based on the segment that they're in. Education maybe is 100% they want to come back. It's the 54%. That's what you guys want to target. We're trying to give you tools to assuage those fears that they have about monitoring, about productivity, and about security. in a
Yeah.
dynamically distributed workforce.
So we could stay there on whether that's part of the IT director's job now, but I think we'll get to that in 1 minute. I think that's interesting. I dug far and wide to try to find some research where somebody was actually willing to say what was better. I don't really know how you judge it or what the productivity story is, but I found this study from Harvard. It was one of the first pieces of qualitative research that we could find that was not from Microsoft or Zoom or someone, no offense, but somebody who had a horse in the race, right? Just qualitative research saying where they felt like people were more productive. And they used productivity basically as a measure of like emails sent, unique topics in email, number of hours logged in.
What's email?
Effectively. Yeah, right, what is that? Exactly, I agree with you, by the way. I would love to forget about my email. It's a dumpster fire right now, particularly getting ready for this event. Look, here's the question. Are we at a point where businesses now, is sort of the argument over and we are having a discussion on how to support hybrid work, or are you still running into meetings where the director of IT or the VP or whomever, CIO, is saying, can you help me with, give me some empirical data here, back me up, like everybody thinks it's a productivity problem, or are we already over the argument, do you think? Who wants to jump on?
I think most of the companies have made their decision. I was just Googling, and whether it's PayPal or HubSpot or Twitter or Facebook or even Elon Musk in his edict for Tesla, most people have tried to define the direction.
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of, how much dedication does the management have if that direction is frictional with the
Of
people
course.
below.
Well, how many times has Apple shared what they were going to do and backed off? And you would think if anybody was going to have their act in gear in sort of communicating with their end workers, maybe they'd be better than some more traditional companies or non-tech companies, but they struggled with it. Either of you have want to add?
Yeah, that's a huge challenge for all of us, right? We're in the field, we're selling, we're talking to people, we're trying to understand what they need, and there's basically two groups of people. You talk to the CFO or the CEO, and they've got a different view of, they agree with you, and they're like, yeah, we need to push this down, and then you go to the people doing the work, and they're like, I'm the one doing the work. They got to convince me to do it because without me, they can't get it done. So you do have to really understand the situation you're in and who the parties are that you're talking to and what the different needs are and wants and that's really the art. That's what you guys are. You're artists. That's what we are. When we're out in the field talking to people, we're really trying to figure out how we navigate that environment.
I'll go back to, having the tools. One of the things Scott said earlier is that business outcome conversation. Honestly, you guys are better at that than even a lot of my reps and AEs. And it's very important to us that we provide solutions that help you have those business outcome discussions in front of those executives and help make those IT teams look magical, help get the tickets off their desk, help them provide the security that company needs to be safe. I've worked for a company that's been hacked. It wasn't Zoom. It was a disaster. And we went public with it, so I'm not saying anything. We were held hostage for quite a while. And it's no joke. And the phishing exercises and all the different pieces, we need you guys out there having those conversations and representing our solutions so that we can get to a place where real work's getting done and people are productive and they're focused back on, making sure we get the economy running.
Interesting. So we've gone through security as a driver. We've gone through productivity as or lack thereof in remote work as a potential driver. In your experience, and maybe we'll open it up to the team here to see if anybody has a comment. But is the CIO being asked to participate in those conversations, or are they just being asked to come up with a solution? And what I mean by that is, are they engaging in meetings with you where they're going, we want to do this, but we have a concern about productivity. How can you help me answer that with technology? Or help me answer the security thing? Or are we still in the, hey, we all went home, we plugged in and we used Zoom or we used Teams or maybe already they use both and they're trying to figure it's a greenfield opportunity. Are we just answering the phone problem? Or are we answering, do you think more often, sort of the productivity or the security problem?
I think it's a holistic approach. When people go home, it's not a closed evergreen environment anymore. The IT doesn't have control of everything, and the management doesn't have control of everything. So they're looking for solutions that help them monitor and improve productivity, which means all the ancillary aspects of security, as Tammy pointed out. It's not funny when you get hacked, when you get held hostage. So,
Yeah.
you know, we focused a lot over the past couple of years on the things that you guys were telling us your customers were absolutely in dire need of, which was security and monitoring and managing remote employees. And so that's, I think, it's a holistic approach. It's not just we provide solutions that answer the phones. It's got to be the total solution, or else they have to piece it together with 5, 6, 7 different vendors.
Interesting. Tim, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times people don't know what to ask for. You know, they don't ask us for DAS. You know, they don't ask us for, you know, different parts of the other UCaaS, CCaaS solutions, whatever, you know, security solutions. They just know they have a problem or they have a challenge, and if we don't ask the questions, they're not going to tell us. So that's why I think the AT&T, not to give anyone else a plug here, but AT&T obviously had a really great case study because, hey, you know what? If you don't ask those questions, you don't uncover what that problem is. Ask the questions. You just have a conversation. Tell me about your remote work strategy. What are you doing with security? Tell me about, you know, how does that work? How does this work? What else? It's a conversation. Doesn't require any technical knowledge. I forget who the strategist was on there, but that was great. Relied on Mike, relied on Saad, and again, say, hey, this is what's going on with this client, and boom, you come back with the tools. You know, our Kevin Sullivan, the director of solution engineering for Evolve IP, always says people know they want to build a house. They just don't have the tools. They're not the contractor. You know, you can't tell the contractor what to do. You just say, I want to build this house. And that's kind of what we do.
Understood. Anything to add on that, Tammy?
Just, you know, I think building from the ground up, the way that Zoom did, we started from a zero trust factor. So once you go home and you don't have control of those devices anymore, there's more bring your own device, there's Wi-Fi, there's, you know, internet that you aren't controlling coming into a building, less VPN. You just got to think about it a little bit differently. So making sure that that is built in and they're thinking about that and the solutions that are chosen, I don't think it's ever been more important.
Got it. Okay. Let's align with our buyer for a minute. 74% of CIOs said that remote work added stress to their help desk, to their end user help desk, to their IT teams. I think that's obvious, but let's explore it a little bit. What are the kind of challenges that you have in remote work that you don't have? I mean, we mentioned security, obviously, but let's go one level deeper. Yes, security, no kidding. Like, specifically what is happening when we get home that's stressing IT departments that's different than if they're sitting inside the four walls of the office?
I think kind of like the comment I just made, less control over that environment.
Okay, so you're talking about endpoints specifically, so PC, what have you. You're talking about network itself. Go ahead, Artie, jump on there.
No, I think Tammy really put it precisely. It's the uncontrolled, you know, it's not a garden wall for that IT group anymore who's used to basically deploying everything consistently, coordinated, and controlled, and now all of a sudden everybody's just going home and they have no clue. You know, I'm on Xfinity and I'm on Comcast and I'm on AT&T and I have a VPN but I don't, and you know, it's a crazy world out there. Our help desk volume when the pandemic first hit went up 300% in those first couple weeks because companies didn't even know, like, I don't even know how to get the employee on a phone at home, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So 74% in the first couple months, it was probably, you know, 100%.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And so that number's gone down, and it will continue to go down because of, I think, the work that our three companies are doing and you're doing to really match your customers and your IT customers with the solutions that will reduce their stress and give the best solution.
Anybody else on that?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's a great point. We talk about it. Scott and I have been talking about this for years. We've gone from a perimeter, an environment with a nice firm perimeter with firewalls and you know, lists of people who can come in and out, to a perimeterless environment, and it is crazy, and the tickets are up, and that's what drives a lot of to the point of our, this part of the discussion is frustration of IT people. Ask them, hey, tell me about your tickets since the pandemic. What kind, just get into that conversation. They'll talk for an hour about it.
Yeah.
Right? And
What's
then again, the
interesting-
solution is there's multiple type. You go to Mike, you use the engineering resources. This is what's going on. DAS is a great solution. The perimeter-based security stuff that we have, the collaboration tools. You know what I mean? You can solve their problems without even talking about the technology. Just understand what they're experiencing.
I have to say my absolute favorite use cases are when we see the comments where the IT guys are getting thank you notes after they implement, because it's just the simplicity has driven it down so far. Those warm my heart. Like, IT never gets thank yous, and so it's just
That's part of that
stripping it
changing
back.
role, though, right?
It totally is, and it lets them work on things that have real business value. And not that communication doesn't, but it should be there when you need it, and that shouldn't be what's eating their time, because with the recession and with the costs, they've got to be focusing on the things that differentiate.
So let's, you all walked right around the edge of a landmine there. I'm just going to jump right on it. All right, let's talk about endpoints. All right, so you guys introduced a product called Zoom Phone, right?
We did.
Okay.
4 billion seats sold
Okay.
now.
All right, fantastic. Tim, you guys, you're doing a lot around Microsoft and Teams, but even that, there's a whole ecosystem that is attaching through Teams to, an endpoint. Already, you've spoken all about your collaboration product. So let me just ask it outright with everybody here in the room. Does anybody give a crap about blinky lights on handsets at this point?
No.
Negative.
No.
All right, hold on, let's do this. Anybody have a microphone here? Come grab this. Because I had somebody say absolutely, and let's turn this into a battle royale. Let's go, take this over there. Let's go have the conversation. Do phones matter anymore, handsets? Who wants to take a position against the three of these people? Right back here? You got it, fire. Oh, it's Brent. By the way, it's one of our SCs, which I love even better. Brendan Strain, everybody
Awesome.
stand up, my friend, let's go. All right, swing, man. Speak the truth. Speak your truth. You want the red light on. Make sure it's on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Test.
There we go.
Yeah.
Testing. All right.
Yeah, you're good. Go.
Absolutely. Like that.
All right.
Take
Tell
that
us-
one.
Tell us why.
Tell us why. Give us an example of a situation where it mattered to you.
Hospitality is a huge one.
Okay.
UCAS is a very poor solution for a lot of hospitality environments and manufacturing. Right? They have a lot of shop phones. They have a lot of in hospitality. Right? How many rooms here have a phone?
Mm-hmm.
All of them. Whether they get used or not, it's still a core tendency. And then, things like that. But yeah, phones absolutely still matter in some use cases.
Give me the use cases besides hospitality. Throw them out there.
Whoa.
Throw them on the ground. Medical, absolutely.
Yep.
Healthcare, unquestionably.
Yeah,
All right, I get
hospitals-
that.
hospitals are huge.
Let's take it up one level, though. Let's take it up one level. So stay there on the microphone. 'Cause get up here. Come slide up and sit in the chair. Come on, I'm dead serious.
Have some fun
Slide up
first.
here.
How many
All right.
people have been
So-
in a hotel recently? How many people have been in a hotel?
Clearly.
How many people have used the phone in their hotel? Oh, come on.
To call room service.
Well,
All right.
you can't call 900 numbers in it. You don't want to be trapped. I
If,
understand.
if you tend to sleep in like I do, you have to use the phone to set a wake-up call.
All right.
Have to.
All right, I'm causing some of the chaos, so let's take this back. Let's ratchet this down. All right, so here we go. Let's take the, just like the conversation earlier about people who can work at home versus people who can't work at home. Because in a lot of ways, the phone sets that you just talked about where they can't work at homes, right? It's healthcare, it's medical, it's the front desk at the restaurant, it's all that kind of stuff. Let's just focus on information work for a minute, all right? I have won and lost a lot of deals in law firms as an example because the partner didn't get the blinky light exactly the way that they wanted from their 7 assistants pointing towards the one attorney to work like the other phone system that they were throwing out. And now we're playing games with Polycom firmware to try and make blinky lights work the same way. That's information work now, all right, the law firm. So I'm going to ask the question again now to the panel, then you can go. I'm going to ask everybody here. Taking hospitality out of it, do handsets matter? Hospitality's handset, take all that. Let's get to information work. Do they matter?
So I wasn't sure that when you said blinking light, you meant do handsets matter?
Yes.
So I would actually change my answer a little bit.
Okay, shoot.
So my answer would be, why are you asking the question? As people who are delivering technology, we need to deliver what they need. And there are segments that will need it, like hospitality. There's retail, for example, in stores. We could Google a list of ones that need it. So I see it more, yeah, we need to prognosticate futures and directions and trends. But just like there's leaded gas that you can still buy at the gas station, we need to provide a total solution. And if your customer needs a handset, you need to provide a handset. And let me tell you, when the chip shortage hit and Yelinks and Polycom phones dropped, guess what? They're all shaking our heads. We all felt it. Every one of us felt it. So we can say we don't want an IP phone, but our customers are still buying IP phones. Your customers are still buying IP phones, and that shortage hurt every one of us.
So let me ask you a different question. Are the big wins in the funny use cases? And what I mean by that is where they still matter. Do you get what I'm saying? Tim,
Yeah, I mean,
we had a conversation about this in our pre-call on a win you had where it was a win just because of the ugly, gnarly use case.
All right, I guess I got to change my answer too. So yeah, it's true. Like I mean, if you go into a big business, they've got a lot of different things going on.
Yeah.
They've got multiple systems. Maybe they grew through acquisition, and they've got multiple things they're trying to piece together. So yeah, one of the largest deals we have was the IT team wanted to use Teams, but they had some feature gaps from a Cisco system they had. They had a bunch of people managing a large Avaya. But the CIO and the CEO, they were all committed to going to Teams. So we had to show them how we would move from, a hybrid environment where we're building connections, paths from one system to another, through all the way to Teams and address the feature gaps. It was really a financial decision. All the stuff was paid for. They were coming up against a major investment they needed to make to keep it all running. And they were like, we're not spending money on that old stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way you should look at it. There's stuff that's still in there. You got leaded gas, yeah, sure. But for the most part, I don't think phones matter. Other than there's going to be a period of time we got to wait for people to die.
Where there's,
you know what I mean? for the lawyers don't want to have their buttons
I
on
knew
their
that
damn
was gonna
phones.
happen
You know what I
somewhere.
mean? So yeah, but
Can
I
we
think
edit
it's a matter
that
of
part
time.
out of the video, please, before we? No, I'm kidding.
And I think we can
yeah, please.
support it.
I'm sorry.
So, I mean, if they want it, to Tim's
Yeah,
point,
yeah.
it's what the client wants, and can you support it through what's there?
It's truly understanding those things.
In so many situations, we're working with multiple solutions based on what the client needs to solve that problem, and I think that's the other really important part. You got to have that flexibility. We work with team shops all the time. And there's pockets where we might be a better fit, and there's places that are so enamored with what they're doing, and Teams is a better fit for them. So it's about that flexibility right now, and how do we minimize the cost and the connectivity to make that work for that client, because they're not going to throw everything out. Those days are gone. We've got to make it work together for them.
So as we're coming back then, I'm actually going to toss one to Brendan, who wasn't expecting to be up here, mind you. He's a totally good sport. I'm looking at him and he gave me this look like, are you sure? I'm like, no, get up here. All right, but let's just explore. I want to stay on that for 1 minute, because it's great for us to have this conversation up here. Brendan's getting, he's getting engaged in deals all day long. Different deals that are going to all three of you, going to others on that thing. How often, just pull it out of the air from a percentage perspective, is the decision coming down to a unique hardware or capabilities use case versus them coming in and going, I need you to integrate Zoom with phone or Teams with phone, or I need a greenfield solution for these guys? Where is it being driven from? I didn't just need a thing that does this specific thing, can you help me? That's not necessarily the collab client anymore.
So I think the percentage of deals is probably a third, so
Okay.
33.3% repeating, right?
Yeah, right?
For all of my details matter, people.
Now, be exact. Come on. We need you to be exact.
Okay.
So yeah, I think about a third of the deals, it matters, because just like we see faxes, right? That's another technology. Everybody wants the latest cell phone. Everybody wants the latest whatever the heck in their car.
Yeah.
But in UC deals, we still always hear, oh yeah, we need a fax. And that same thing pops up with,
The F word, fax.
the three-letter F word, not the four.
No, I totally get it.
That's a good analogy, the fax.
No, in fact, absolutely is. And it's fax, it's service lines, obviously, it's unlock the front door, it's,
Alarm, elevator.
yeah. Okay, totally get that. Okay, I think we exhausted that on the handset side. Let me go a slightly different direction. I'm gonna toss and this one is, I mean, everybody can jump on it, but people obviously didn't send handsets home in the pandemic, but people had to work on a PC, and that was a problem. And maybe that's part of this productivity problem, as we go from an endpoint perspective. The job, I often say the one job that every IT person hates the most is endpoint management. They don't want to ever talk to an end user. They don't want to worry about they want to go do the fun stuff. They want to work on the network. They want to do big jobs. They want to solve things. They want to think about CRM. They don't want to talk to Bob in accounting about the update on there. That's just not what happens, right? But then everybody went home, and we can paper over a lot of kind of ugly endpoint security policies when people are behind the firewall, right? But when they go home, it's a totally different problem. So I recognize that everybody's in slightly different businesses here, but I'm interested in hearing how the endpoint creates some of that 74% problem, whether it's just the installation and software working, or whether it's a product kind of scenario. PCs, how does that come into here? Brendan,
So I think Eric will appreciate this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like with traditional environment, you're used to having the phones behind the moat, right? It's in the castle, everything's safe. Now, and even people that manage large systems, the phones are always VPN phones. So they were passing those through a firewall, or they're licensed up, Cisco, whatever, Pixbox. So they're introduced, I think, an issue on the security side. And just like people still want to use those old Cisco 7900 phones, I don't know how many people still see those, but they still want to use something that's been out of service, out of support, out of updates for like 25 years now. And they continue to want to do that, so that introduces that whole issue of sending a phone home.
Got it.
Okay.
But how about the PC?
And
Toss
the
that out
PC.
there. How much is the PC part of that 74%? A problem for IT? Panelists, anybody?
Oh, it's obviously a huge part. I mean, if you look at the help desk tickets, most of them are managing the endpoints or the software on the endpoint, right? Those are the two main things. So for us, I mean, we find a lot of our desktop as a service opportunities come from people finally kind of giving up on, I can't manage this desktop environment anymore. The people aren't in the same room anymore. You used to be able to take if something happened, you could take it upstairs and give it to your IT person, and they would fix it, and they'd take it back down, or they'd give you a loaner. They can't fix it. You go home for the night, and next day you're back, and they fix it. But now they're in different rooms, so that loss of productivity is real for someone that's at home and has a problem with their desktop. But if you have your desktops in the cloud, you can just wipe them clean, give them a new one. They got to get their family's picture back on the screen, but other than that, you erase the problem without touching the machine. So that's a huge thing. And then putting the voice inside the desktop is something that we've been focused on. I'm not sure how much anyone in here has been paying attention, but getting real-time audio and video to work inside a desktop is a massive thing. That's coming down the pike. And I mean, 75% of IT people say they're going to invest in DAS. There's a 200% growth in DAS. It's because they're trying to get everything into one container to secure it, to secure the voice as well.
Trojan horse, a secure environment into the house kind of scenarios.
I think that's where WebRTC also comes into it, because that's natively HTTPS.
Absolutely.
It takes care of the security piece. You don't have to worry about it's browser agnostic, right? So
You totally get it. So let's stay on that just for 1 minute, because we are hearing a lot about DAS and VDI. A stance on running the Zoom client and your collaboration client inside of VDI environments? Do you do that?
I'm not having any issues.
Yeah, okay, good. You use one today?
We use it today.
Fantastic. Okay.
And if I'm thinking about it the way you're describing it, we've done extensive work, and because we started from the video side first, backing off to voice was not an issue. The voice was already there. You take the picture away. So, and you also, we just had Wayne House research. It is our own research, but we checked with 10 other vendors, and we can continue to keep excellent video with 40% packet loss and very good audio with 10% packet loss. We cut out a lot of background noise. I use it daily when my dog goes off when the UPS man comes. And we use less bandwidth on the network. So it's, when we've got it deployed, we see a significant drop in the service that's required.
Yeah. So your focus on in Zoom was on just making sure it was deployable, quality, can deal with network problems. You put your effort into making sure that regardless of what the endpoint was, you were able to deliver a quality experience.
Correct.
Okay.
And there's also a Metergy study, 60% less cost to deploy. Tickets are way down and requires less IT to support. So in whole, like I said earlier, I've never seen a more elegant technical product. And I started as a mainframe SE at IBM 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool.
Let me add one thing there, because Zoom was our first application that we got to work inside of a desktop as a service. It worked great. It was
Worked
our first
great.
one, MarineMax, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a
They were
big
like,
deal.
all right, we want to do this desktop thing, but you got to get Zoom to work in it or we can't do it.
Fantastic. Artie, what about you?
Yeah, we
Okay.
popped it in.
Yeah,
worked
we
with
don't
your
see a lot of
people.
desktop as a service for our customers, but what's interesting is you said they never take their IP phone home. We actually have a number of customers
Okay.
when the pandemic hit, because our service is flexible
Yep.
and because it has the same level of security whether you're at home or at work, they just take their IP phone home, plug it in, and it just comes up.
Just comes up.
Now, the PC is a different story because, we literally have customers who are still on Windows 8, literally running Windows 8.
Ouch.
When Microsoft doesn't even support Windows 8. So, the breadth that we as vendors have to provide in terms of the interoperability and the testing, is pretty big on the PC side. On the IP phone, it just works. You take it anywhere in the world, plug it in on
Got
our
it.
system.
Got it.
It just works.
Okay. I think we've beat IT up well enough. And we've gotten to a lot of this, but you may not need to stay here. These were, for everybody's sake, this was from that same survey. This was the top priorities for remote work, for the coming year around hybrid work. 46% said the top priority was improving cybersecurity. I think we've beat quite a bit up on that. Ensuring the organization has the right collaboration platform. We're going to explore that for a minute. And then network reliability. We've talked quite a bit about that. So let me throw the hot potato on the middle question there. And I'm actually going to start with Brendan, who again was not expecting to be on the stage here, but I'm doing it anyway. I asked you percentage of times that it's some unique use case was the reason why somebody was picking a solution. You said 30%. What percentage of time are you walking in where they have a predetermined decision on the collaboration tool they're using, and they just want to be able to light it with the DID?
Almost 100%.
Okay. So the 30% was the use case. Maybe that made a decision on who the specific vendor was, but they're sort of already zealots on the collaboration side?
Most of the time, I think, most of the time, absolutely, because they've always been a Microsoft shop or a Zoom shop now, right? So I think there's a lot of Microsoft shops, and like Mike and I talk about this all the time. Like you jump into a call and it's like, hey, I need to integrate with Microsoft.
Got it. So before we jump to that, I'm gonna come to Artie for a minute. Again, it was a hot potato question. I threw it out at front, right? You are neither Zoom or Teams on your collab client. You have your own. Answer the objection for us. Why then, if you got Brendan down there saying many of the conversations that he's in are, that they already have a predetermined decision around the collab client and they want to power it. Where are people fitting in with, one of the, something that is not one of those clients? Right. I guess I should
Well,
say.
I think, we always say, maybe Microsoft was there since the beginning of time, but before Zoom, there was no Zoom. And, before these companies, there weren't those companies.
Yeah.
And so, what we try to do is provide the best solution out there that matches with that particular customer. And the one thing that I think you find now is, and you mentioned you work for IBM. So there was a saying, 50 years ago, never got fired for buying IBM.
I was there then.
And so, you were faced as salespeople that IBM was the only thing everyone bought. So it was a very brand specific sales process for you. Luckily for all of us, that really doesn't exist. It exists maybe a little bit today. Yeah, Zoom has the brand recognition and Teams has a brand recognition, but customers are not wedded to a brand as much as they were back in those IBM days. They want solutions. And so we try to strive to listen to you, listen to our customer, and put out those solutions. And we're winning business alongside Zoom and Teams just as much, and we're totally happy to compete against those. And in some cases, they'll pick Zoom or they'll pick Teams, but in many of the situations, we come up with a different technology, different solution, a different total end-to-end solution. Maybe they love our support, the fact that we're, literally 30-second response time guaranteed in our SLA for support.
Yeah.
Maybe they love our supervisory mode features on our video conferencing systems so that they can manage the productivity of their employees better. It's usually a combination of things, but that's the benefit of being in this kind of world.
Yeah.
Where Zoom can become Zoom and Pantera can become Pantera and Evolve IP with Microsoft Teams can become what they are.
Sure. I mean, does this middle stat actually support your statement? I mean, look at it in reverse. They're basically saying 32, for the people that were surveyed, and I think the number was like 700 C-level leaders in IT, basically said that 32% of them, their top priority was ensuring that they had the right collaboration solution. That doesn't say PBX. It doesn't say voice solution. So I guess maybe it's not all predetermined, but I'm curious how you feel about that.
I would go back to a comment you made earlier. It's about business outcomes.
Okay.
And you guys are very good at that. It's what you do, and that business outcome may not be one thing solely. And so, when we were a video meeting company and not a UCaaS and a CCaaS company, we had one thing that we were talking about. Now, when we're branching out into a much more complex solution, we need the talent and the skills you guys bring. So my mission is to grow our channel significantly, and that's part of being here. Like, we need what you bring. We need the trust your clients have in you, and we want to make sure we're providing the right solution and tools so that we can get those solutions in those clients.
Got it. So, got a couple minutes left. I'm going to throw this one. There's a lot of stats on this. I'm not going to read them, but I'd like you to read them on your own, right? So there it is. But, the root of a lot of this data basically says that the way that we're working, certainly on the right side, the Microsoft study, has basically created a lot more work for frontline workers. More meetings, more time on weekends, higher expectations, right? The stats that we have on the left, I love the one there. From a IT person perspective, 68% of them were basically concerned that their job was encroaching on their personal lives at this point. So, all of your companies did very well in the pandemic for obvious reasons, solving all of these business outcome problems that we threw out there at the beginning. I'll ask the tough one, and maybe you're not the ones to answer the question. Certainly, Artie's the CEO, you're making decisions on what you're doing, but I'm going to throw this one out there. Do you all have a responsibility to help solve this problem? As service providers who benefited from work from home, we also created a little bit of a mess. How do you think about that? And is that in your roadmap? Is that in the way you guys talk about? How do we solve these problems for people? Artie, I'm going to go to you.
Yeah, I think again, going back to your other slide, 74% of IT people are stressed. And I think that stress level is because the work from home or the hybrid solution has created problems from holes. It's unearthed holes in their infrastructure that they really need to plug. And we as solution providers, Pantera, absolutely, I know for a fact, strives to give the best solution. And we're technology providers. We build our own technology. And so we're there to actually respond to the problem and figure out how to actually solve that particular problem. Firsthand, I know, the workers, my kids, and they came home. I saw firsthand, they worked 10 hours, 12 hours a day. They couldn't stop. They couldn't turn it off. The IT people are not worried about those kind of people, really. They're worried about the people that they need to basically have the tools to be able to monitor and coach and help and assist as they're remotely doing their job for the company. And so that's what we as a service provider have to deliver. And we deliver it day in and day out as uniquely as possible so that you guys can basically solve your customers' problems better than you could have before.
Artie, on our pre-call, you mentioned something unique that you felt was something unique about your platform, which was a supervisory video function. that's based around this solving that supervisory problem? Just super quick, because I want to make sure the rest of the panelists have a chance to
Yeah,
answer
no,
that question, but
and this was
does that fall into that?
evolved. This was evolved from talking to those stressed out IT people who were talking to the management level. They were stressed because management was saying, we used to be able to have supervisory modes on regular audio calls, and I could sit there and silently join a call, and I could whisper into the agent's ears and then break into the call. Those were powerful coaching, training, monitoring tools. We have none of that on the video conferencing side, and now everybody's going to video conferencing. We listen to that. So we actually have full supervisory modes for the video conferencing call, where now you can, as a manager, can sit there and join a session that's actually going without anyone seeing you, or you can actually let the moderator or the agent see you and text him without anybody else seeing, or you can actually barge into the call.
So I think the answer to the first question was yes, you feel responsibility, and two,
Absolutely.
you're building features around it. So let me move on, Tammy.
Sure.
Does Zoom feel responsibility for fixing some of that? And give us an example of a spot where you're focusing on maybe a feature or function around that.
I would say the entire company is founded on that even before the pandemic. So Eric left WebEx and created Zoom because he wanted to make clients happy. And we grew exponentially in the pandemic. It was around 2 major products, completely pressure tested those products. We spend 40% of our R&D budget on things that clients bring to us. We're very human-centric. This is about creating collaboration and making this new environment work and creating a modern world for where the direction of work is going. So we absolutely feel a part of this. We're trying to put out solutions, provide options, make it as interconnected as possible, because we understand people can't throw out everything they have, and constantly coming out with ways to connect. We just announced Mio, which allows us to connect with Teams, allows us to connect with Slack. Like, we've got to meet those clients where they are and figure out how we help make them productive right now. We also have Zoom IQ, which is similar to what you described, really helping us with our own teams, helping our clients be able to go back with conversational intelligence and, figure out where do they need to tweak, what else do they need to do. So rapid, fast, consistent innovation to try to solve the problems the clients are having today.
Got it. Tim, do you feel responsible?
I mean, I don't feel responsible. I don't think we feel responsible. I mean, people got to manage people, right, in the end of the day. I mean, and ultimately, there are tools out there that you can use to count how many keystrokes people are using. Most people work on a PC to some extent, right? Or they're on a phone that might be on the PC or an app. So, I mean, if you really want to know about that 30% of the people that are slacking off trying to, figure out how they're scamming the system, I think there's plenty of stuff out there to figure it out. And again, Valve IP rarely makes our own stuff. We're really good, we put things together that other people make, Microsoft and VMware and Citrix. And so, we don't see that. I don't hear a lot of those conversations when I'm talking to customers. They're not like, hey, can you put a chip in my people for me so I can track them around? I'm not feeling that.
You want to jump in there, Brendan, at all?
I was going to say Neuralink, that'd be a good thing.
Neuralink,
Right, Neuralink on that? Okay.
All right, this is your next COVID shot.
I just
Is
got
what
one
it
quick,
is.
Yeah, sure, please.
one
Go,
quick.
go.
And I just want to give a slightly different take on what Tim said,
Yeah.
because I think I'm getting maybe philosophical here, but what we need to do is deliver tools that don't feel big brothery to the workers, but yet gives the management the tools that they feel they can give to the management of the company to feel good about monitoring productivity. So it's all about actually solving the problem. I think really that's what we try to do, is solve the problem for both sides, not just one side and pitting it against the other side. That gives you the best solution out there.
Completely. All right. I got that. Any closing comments from Tammy there?
Would just comment too that very similar to that, we're trying to eliminate the friction in different communication platforms, connections back into business platforms like Salesforce, the CRM systems. All those things contribute to that frustration or that lack of productivity. So a lot of what Zoom's looking at is how do we take that out for people and give that time back so that it can be around things that the company's trying to progress versus
Got it.
clients jumping back and forth.
Perfect. Tim, any parting thoughts?
Oh, we're parting now? Is this the parting part?
Yes, we're parting.
13 minutes left? That's, there's something
We're
else
going to move
going
to
on?
questions. This is your
Oh,
parting
gotcha.
shot.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Just sorry, I missed. No, I mean, I think this was a great panel. You enjoyed being with you guys, and the pregame was good, even though we missed you.
Even though we didn't like Zoom.
But yeah, I mean, look, there's. I think everybody wants everything as simple as possible, and if you can get it on one container, great. Everybody you guys go talk to, if it's a big business, they've already got stuff. So you got to figure out how to go from what they got into that container. And that's the tricky part. Trying to figure out, right, if they've got 3 different vendors, they're already using them to some extent. They've got investments in them. How do you put your stuff in and ultimately get all the way to to one solution, one container that's got your voice apps, all the business apps you need. It's in a secure environment, and you're not worried about the endpoint it's on because you can always change the core.
Got it. Brendan, you want to lay on anything in there? I saw you chomping.
I think
fire.
being on both sides, having been on both sides of the aisle, on hardware and cloud, and then channel side, I think one thing that you guys don't always see is that our goal and our biggest stress is solving the problem.
Okay. Explain.
Yeah, no, that's our biggest stress is making sure we pick the right one of you that will solve the problem. And when Dom calls me and he's like, "Hey, this customer has this big ass problem. What's your suggestion?" That's my biggest stress is making sure that I pick the right one.
Yeah.
So just from you guys, your standpoint, I think just making sure that we know the right use case for you guys, so that we can say, "Hey, this is a badass deal for Evolve, done. And this deal is a terrible deal for Evolve, so don't talk to us about that."
Thank you.
That's super
Thank
important.
you. And I'm sure you'll all share my sentiment. Thank you for doing that, because that is what happens with Bridgepoint. We get involved in deals. You guys have already done a lot of the work. We know we're going to fit, and it's a lot easier. That does not happen in a lot of other places. So.
Okay, so we're going to go a couple minutes of questions. If we don't have any, that's fine. I know it's late and it's the first day, so you're all really anxious for a cocktail, but we've got a few more things we need to do before we get there, or at least another cocktail because we started them early. But any questions? Anybody in the audience want to? All right, we got Mel over here. Yeah, make sure that the buttons are red there.
Test.
I just have a quick question on where you guys think the industry's headed. It just seems, at a high level, that the UCaaS and CCaaS suppliers are all built upon disparate, different technologies, and they enable a customer to use all of their technologies, but they don't necessarily enable them to be compatible with others. Like, I don't know, back in the day, I used to remember hearing open systems, right? And everybody would build an open system, but this seems to be a little bit more disparate. So where do you guys see this going? I feel like Teams is sort of forcing a lot of the collaboration amongst you guys. I'm just curious to see what you guys think in terms of where it goes in 5-10 years.
5 to 10 years.
Let back it up to 5 to 10
Then we
months.
will
Okay, let's
have
make it
that
3 to
chip in
5.
our
It's
head.
fine. 3 to 5.
That chip might be in our head
If
by
you-
then.
Mel,
chips
Mel,
and
if you
everything.
take the number from earlier, you're fine, because 5 to 10 months is equivalent to, 5 to 10 years is equivalent to 5 to 10 months, so answer the question in 5 to 10 months, or 1 to 2 years maybe.
I think, as Tammy put it, interoperability in our business is going to be key. Everybody's got something, but that doesn't mean they're happy with that something. Otherwise, none of you guys would have a job, really. So every month, it's about a new challenge that your IT person is running into. There's a security issue, there's a productivity issue, there's a dynamic distribution of workforce issue. And so we're going to provide solutions. We're going to continue to evolve. Every one of us are developing and putting out new features for our products. And then our job is to make sure you know what those are, what the best use case is for that particular feature or that particular job, and then put it in your hands to match. So whether it's 1 month, 5 months, 1 year, 5 years, technology is going to be evolving. There's no case where technology isn't going to evolve.
Tammy, you want to add in there?
Completely agree. I think we've got 1,500 apps right now. We connect with, Microsoft. We have integrations with almost all of the major contact center providers, including our own, which now we can blend the two of them and create a really nice solution at a lower cost for clients. So I think we just continue to look for those opportunities, and anybody that, builds and blocks out I think they're setting themselves up for failure. I think it's got to be that open environment because
Tim?
people have to use what they've got.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, the market's going to go where the users want it to go, right? And that is partnering. Like we're partnering. A lot of the suppliers you see us partnering. We have a formal partnership with Five9 because contact center people are going home and they want the apps in the same container as the soft client. So we're giving them a desktop and we're making Five9s work, even though we'd love to sell them Teams or we'd love to sell them our CCAS product. But they're using Five9. Okay, well, we'll put it in the desktop.
Yeah,
so
it's
you're
funny.
going to have a lot of that type of stuff.
We used to say that the cloud did a great job taking IT people and moving them out of their own data center in the closet, but it put all of them in the plumbing business. Put every IT person in the integration business is what it did, right at the end of the day. I mean, that's where this is. So it's an interesting comment. We had another question back here. Charlie, you have the microphone? Is that where it is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Question for y'all is there's so many different decision makers within an organization. You have contact center manager, you have the CIO, VP of infrastructure, you have HR, you have marketing. Without answering all of them, identify whom your primary go-to decision maker is within an organization and why.
Good question.
You know, ours has switched dramatically as our platform has continued to build. You know, for our events product, it's really the CMO. For the Zoom IQ product, it's the VP of sales or head of operations. So I think it's very dependent. That persona is very dependent on which part of the platform that you're looking at. And so it's forced us to expand with our sellers. Again, I'll go back. This is the importance of all of you guys. You guys have those relationships today. And so as our platform and our offerings continue to grow, we want to make sure that we're creating a great program that you can leverage into those accounts where you've already got the relationships.
And I would say that it's a hard question because every company is different, but there are typically multiple decision makers in their different function, right? So you have the technical decision maker, and that's usually where we slot in at first glance because the technical decision maker has gained a higher role of decision making than before. But you're going to have the financial decision maker, you're going to have the grassroots employee decision maker. So you're going to have different decision makers, and I think it's important. What we do is we try to give use cases for all of those decision makers so that you can understand how to position the product, Pantera's product, for the IT technical decision maker, for the financial decision maker, and for the end user decision maker.
Tim, anything to add?
No, it's swampy. You know, I mean, you go into a company, Artie's right, everyone's a little different, but there is a financial decision maker, there's an influencer that's usually a user, there's a technical buyer, and you got to figure out who's got, what relationships, and that's where the art of persuasion comes in. That's what y'all do probably, spend most of your time trying to figure out is who's got more influence and how do I make sure I'm paying attention to what they need.
Are there end users more in this decision now? I'm curious. I'm asking everybody. No? Yes?
No, absolutely. Ever since
Hell
the
yeah.
advent of the phone with the App Store,
Yeah.
end users are now a decision-making
Fantastic.
body.
I get it. Anybody else? Any other questions out here?
I was just going to ask one
yeah,
quick follow-up. And
Yeah.
have you all provided use cases within each of those different areas? Again, this client made this decision with this decision maker and why? Have you provided that? And
We have tons of them on our website, and I'm happy to provide any others that somebody might want. I'd love to share some of that.
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, we absolutely have. For Bridgepoint.
Yeah, we have 10 years of Salesforce data on who bought what, and we could give you the
Got
stats
it.
for them.
Awesome. Anybody else? Nobody? Nobody? I have a light in my eye. Ollie Nerulis, he wants to ask a question? No? He just wants another drink. All right. Great. Well, first off, let's thank the panel. That was a good one. That was brisk.